again. I'm often puzzled by the way in which commercial companies, public bodies or politicians will announce that they aim to increase diversity without explaining why they think such an aim to be desirable or good. Of course, there are things which are almost axiomatically worthy and that every single person in any society or organisation would wish to see increased. Kindness is one of those things. If the head of Britain's National Health Service said that he hopes that there would be more kindness in the organisation which he led, then he would not need to explain why he wanted this. In exactly the same way, if the Prime Minister of Britain or President of the United States said that he aimed to nurture and increase the amount of compassion in society, that too would be an obviously good thing, and it would not be necessary to explain why more compassion would be a good thing for the country. It is self-evidently the case. It would be better if there were more compassion. There are other aims and intentions, though, for which the rationale is not immediately plain. If the managing director of a large company issued a press release in which he said that the business intended to shed a large number of staff, this would not on the face of it appear to be a good thing. It might be, or it might not, but we need an explanation of why this is being done before we can judge the matter. For example, if it's being done so that half a dozen fat cats at the top of the company can enjoy larger bonuses and become multi-millionaires by taking all those salaries that were being given to ordinary workers and putting them in their own pockets, this might be thought by many people to be a bad thing. If, on the other hand, it's part of a plan to make the company leaner, more efficient and better able to compete in the world, and that without these redundancies then the enterprise would go to the wall, then a lot of people might be persuaded to see it as a good move. I hope viewers get my point here between these two categories. Those which are intrinsically and unequivocally good, charity, kindness, compassion and so on, and other things which may be good, but which need some context and explanation, things like mass redundancies. When it comes to the case of diversity, we find that almost everybody talking publicly of this idea is guilty of what is known in logic as a category error. That is to say, they place it in one category by implication, when it really should be put into a different category entirely. This leads to confusion and ill feeling. How does it work in practice? Well, a bank might announce that it intends to increase diversity at the level of senior management. The British bank Lloyds TSB made such an announcement last year. Details might be given of how this will be achieved, but never any reason why it should be undertaken. In other words, diversity is treated as a self-evident good, a thing which is clearly desirable and needs no justification. It is placed mentally in the same category as altruism and charity. In fact, because the benefits are not at once visible or demonstrable, it should really be placed in the category of things like cost cutting, closures of branches, and redundancies. That is to say, things which might be good, but which require a little explanation to show that this is the case. Let me give another example. If my local station of the fire brigade says that they wish to inculcate altruism and compassion in their firefighters, then every single listener knows at once that this is good, because the firefighters who love other people and hazard their lives for them more are better firefighters and better citizens as well. Now imagine instead that the fire station says that their aim is that by 2025 at least 30% of their firefighters will be of African heritage because they wish to increase diversity. It is not at once obvious to anybody how this will make for better firefighters. We need to be given some context and explanation for this ambition. None of this is to suggest that the opposite case is true, of course. That is, that increased diversity, whether in society or in some organisation, is likely to be a bad thing. Merely that we do not know unless somebody takes the trouble to tell us whether it's likely to prove good or bad. I realise that most politicians these days have little grasp of formal logic, and that schools don't teach this very useful subject either. This is why this awful misunderstanding has been able to arise. If you simply say, we are determined to increase diversity, and then turn to another topic, many people will assume that the benefits of this proposed course of action must be so obvious that they need not be spelled out, and there will be a reluctance to ask questions for fear of appearing stupid or ignorant, or, which is even worse, perhaps a white supremacist. This is why I'm asking the question here publicly. What are the benefits of increasing diversity, whether in society or in banks, public services or government? How will this work to my advantage or the good of society as a whole?